Hey everyone, today we'll be tasting different types of apple juice to make cider. So I'll start with the regular no-name apple juice that I always use, and I'm doing this because whatever you put into your cider will determine the quality of the cider you'll be drinking at the end. So once the apple juice is transformed into alcohol, the quality of apple juice matters. So the better the quality of the apple juice will mean a better quality cider at the end of the fermentation process. So we're here to test if we should keep our same no-name brand because it's low in cost, and we want to know if there's a main difference between these low-name brands and the more expensive apple juices. So if you want to save on cost, let's see if we could just keep the same old juice that we've been using, or will you have a better tasting cider if you spend a little bit more every time you buy your juice. I'm gonna bring the no-name apple juice brand, which is this one right here. It's been refrigerated, and I'm just gonna pour it into my little glass. Just a bit for tasting, and this is gonna give me the base taste. Honestly, it tastes exactly like the cider I'm making. I like it, and I've chosen this over Great Value apple juice, the one that is found in Walmart, because I find that this no name tastes better than Great Value apple juice. So there is a difference, and now let's go to another brand that's a little bit more expensive. It's called Royal Mount. And the difference between Royal Mount is that they have specific juices based on the specific types of apple. So they have Royal Gala flavor, they have other types of apple flavor, and I bought two just to have an example and to see if it actually tastes like Royal Gala. So before tasting the Royal Mount, now that I have this Royal Gala flavor, I'm gonna try the Royal Mount Royal Gala flavor to tell you, does it taste the same? And once I'm pouring it into my little glass here, no spillage. Royal Gala Royal Mount juice. Yeah, it does taste like Royal Gala. And now that I've tried the Royal Gala juice, I'm gonna try Honey Crisp. This is another type of apple. I do not have a physical Honey Crisp in my disposition. However, if the Royal Gala juice tastes like Royal Gala apple, that the Honey Crisp juice will also taste like Honey Crisp apple. Here is the Royal Mount Honey Crisp flavor juice. Honestly, it tastes almost the same. It's just a little bit more sour. And if I had to compare that one with the no name, there's not that big of a difference. So I would personally stay with my no name brand because it's cheaper. It's about $1 cheaper, and you're trying to save costs if you're someone who makes a lot of alcohol, so a lot of cider in this case, because every time you want to make cider, you'll have to buy this juice over and over, and it's best to save costs where the quality of the alcohol will not be affected. And something else that affects the taste and quality of your alcohol is the yeast that you use. And the one that I use is EC1118. And this transforms all the sugar that's present into alcohol. Therefore, there's a little bit of sugar left over, a lot less than other types of yeast. And this yeast gives taste of wine, of champagne. So anything in that realm, and I use it for cider as well to complete my alcohol batches. Now we have one of the cheaper juices, and it's called Oasis. I'm gonna see if this one is highly different than the other ones that I've bought. And this one comes in a different sort of packaging. This is what it looks like, and I'm pretty sure you've seen this in stores. If not, it's pretty readily available everywhere, as are the other juices. Okay, honestly, all apple juice tastes roughly the same, so I can conclude that I will strictly stick with my no-name brand, which is the cheapest one. And if ever there's another one on sale, I will go for the other one. This can be used for other types of alcohol. For example, if you're making beer, you can take hops that are more fruity. You can take other hops that have different smoky flavors. However, the general gist of the beer will taste like beer if you're making beer with hops, or if you're making wine, whether it's taking organic cranberry juice from one brand versus organic cranberry juice from another brand, the taste should be very similar. The main aspect that affects if your alcohol is going to be the same or different are the preservatives. And what I mean by this is that if your juice has preservatives, this can act against the yeast, and once the yeast is inhibited, it might not finish eating all the sugar that's present. So when there's preservatives and the yeast is blocked and it cannot eat the yeast, there will be a lot of sugar left over, and this will make your alcohol much sweeter. So let's say I want to make cranberry juice and I take two different juices. One that's organic, so no preservatives, it's just pure cranberry juice, and another one with preservatives. So this one has different types of preservatives such as malic acid, citric acid, sulfites, all these things that can act against the yeast. Once I make the wine with the preservative cranberry juice, the wine is going to be sweeter, a lot sweeter than the other wine, the one that's made only with organic cranberry juice, because the wine that's been made with preservatives has sugar left over since the yeast wasn't able to eat it all. And the yeast was not able to eat all the sugar because of the preservatives. So I would suggest reading the ingredients of your juice boxes, and as long as there's no preservatives, it should be fine. However, two preservatives that you can still include in your home brewing journey is malic and ascorbic acid. So these do not affect the yeast negatively. They're included in some of these apple juices, and the apple juice turns into cider, and the cider is not too sweet. It's just good tasting at the end. However, some may say that they're lacking some freshness in the cider. Therefore, drop a comment below and let me know, what do you use to make your ciders? Do you use fresh apple? Do you use the same juices as we have here? Or do you use a sort of higher end apple juice from the grocery store? In my opinion, something that helps with the freshness is making sure that you don't add too much yeast, because too much yeast can affect the flavor. Something else that can affect the freshness, I would add fizz. I add fizz by adding carbonation drops, and once you add carbonation drops, it masks the weird taste, and it makes sure that your palate is filled with bubbles, and this helps to better the product that you're putting out there. However, if your product tastes bad, there's no way you can mask this with bubbles. Sometimes you just have to throw the batch away. In my opinion, if you want to make a good product, great. For example, if you want to make a good cider taste even better, I would add fizz, and it usually takes, I would say, roughly 1 week at minimum to fully carbonate your cider. And this is by adding these little carbonation drops that are made of sugar. And why does it carbonate? It's because the sugar in these drops act with the yeast and it creates CO2. CO2 meaning bubbles, and bubbles are another term for the fizz that's in your alcohol. And drop a comment below and let me know if you carbonate your alcohol with these drops, or do you use a forced carbonator or these heavy machinery instead. And if you found this video valuable, share it with a friend, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. We'll be posting more often there, and see you in the next video. Oh, and I have a little secret to say. Actually, I've been struggling trying to make white wine. I've used white cranberry juice. However, this was in the time when I didn't know that preservatives were bad for the yeast, so I used cranberry juice with preservatives. However, I finally found a white cranberry juice with no preservatives. It says no preservatives on the box, but when you look at the ingredients, there is actually a preservative. Therefore, you have to make sure to read the ingredients and not just follow what's on the package, what's in bold. This is the Ocean Spray white cranberry juice that I want to use to make white wine, and it says in the ingredient list, no artificial flavors or preservatives. However, once reading the ingredients, I see citric acid, which means there's an element of sour. There's also ascorbic acid, which means vitamin C. This is completely fine for the yeast. And there's sodium citrate. So sodium citrate is the only preservative that I'm on the fence about. I'm not sure if this will inhibit the yeast from performing at its best. Therefore, in the next video, we will do a test and we will determine if white cranberry juice, the Ocean Spray brand, can turn into a good tasting white wine.